going on, Jets Nation? Welcome into the Jets Report. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, it is a loaded one where we're going to be going over the latest coaching rumors after the Jets yesterday hired our guy, Aaron Glenn, to become the next head coach. And let's start off by showing Aaron Glenn our support here. Type those AGs, type his initials down below in the comment section. I'm fired up that he's the next Jets head coach. I think it's going to turn out to be a lot better than most people think. So if you guys want to show him our support, type those AGs down below. All right, so how is Aaron Glenn going to fill out the rest of his coaching staff? So Jordan Schultz put out a tweet yesterday saying sources say Aaron Glenn is already busy assembling his new staff with the Jets, which includes the following targets. That being Steve Wilks as defensive coordinator, Mike Brunell, Chris Banjo, special teams coach, former Bears interim head coach Thomas Brown, former Chiefs head coach Todd Haley, and then Mike Westhoff should he come out of retirement. Now, none of these are confirmed, like they are joining the staff, but I do want to dive into a couple of these guys and kind of pick and choose how I would ideally fill out this coaching staff. And we're going to start off with the Lions quarterback coach. Already a strong connection with Aaron Glenn being over there in Detroit over the last couple of years, but Mark Brunell, had a very long NFL career, actually played in 19 seasons, and he was drafted by the Packers all the way back in 1993 in the 5th round at the 118th overall pick, and he was the Lions quarterback coach this past season, working with Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, but he actually is a Super Bowl winner. I did not know this. Back in 2010, he was actually the backup for Drew Brees, and he was actually the holder for that special teams unit down there in New Orleans. So Mark Brunell has a ton of experience, but this past season, he was a quarterback coach for the Lions, and the Lions offense this past year was one of the best in the National Football League. I mean, almost ranking top 5 in every major statistical category, and still even turnovers tied for 6. I mean, you can credit Jared Goff with most of those, just sometimes a little careless with the football, but points per game first, yards per game second, third down rate fourth, and red zone touchdown percentage 69.4, which was third in the NFL. But when I think about the Lions offense and I think about what their bread and butter is, it's truly that run game and that special combination of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. So when I think about how the Jets offense could look next season, I think of these two guys. How about Breece Hall and Braylon Allen? Could they be the next Sonic and Knuckles? And that's, if you guys didn't know, that's David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs' nickname. But I think if I had to choose my OC, it would be Mark Brunell. I just think he's the right man for the job right now, and plus the Lions were so successful, specifically offensively, and him being the quarterback coach, getting the most out of Jared Goff, and the finals for the MVP just came out earlier this morning. Jared Goff was top 5, and plus if you could replicate that run game they had with the Lions, obviously their offensive line is the best in the National Football League, but if you could just even get some of that and have Braylon Allen and Breece Hall potentially being the next Sonic and Knuckles, I love the idea of that being the case for the Jets. But let's talk about another offensive coordinator option here. How about interim head coach from this past season of the Chicago Bears, Thomas Brown? Now, he was, before he came to the Bears this past season, he was the Carolina Panthers offensive coordinator in 2023. And he was also Sean McVay's assistant head coach when they won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. So he has experience playing in big-time games, and he was promoted actually first off to the offensive coordinator position with the Bears this past season. Then once they fired Matt Eberflus, he actually ended up being the head coaching job. And listen, I'm intrigued by Thomas Brown. There's no doubt he has a great kind of career path here. He's been around a lot of smart minds in the NFL, more specifically Sean McVay. But I will say he did struggle as the Bears head coach, but I don't know if that was, more of him, like the play calls were wrong, the play designs were wrong. I think that was more of just him having a lot on his plate. Because think about it. He started out as a passing game coordinator, got elevated to OC, and then he got elevated to the interim head coach. Thomas Brown probably couldn't imagine heading into the year that would be how it's played out. So I am definitely very intrigued by Thomas Brown. I do have some concerns, but as an OC, I would love to take a flyer on that and just add in a lot of NFC North guys to this Jets coaching staff. But here are the finalists to fill out his coaching staff. I will do another video on Todd Haley, former Chiefs head coach, potentially being the OC, even though I don't think it's going to happen, but definitely something we need to talk about. Then also Mike Westhoff, we'll talk about him on a later video this week. But I would love Chris Banjo as a special teams coordinator, just a solid guy there. But this is the latest on the Jets coaching staff search. So I want to ask you guys this, and then around the corner we'll talk about a little Josh McCown McCown potentially being the offensive coordinator. And if that is on the table, I think the Jets should take that and run with it. I think it'd be a great idea. But I'll ask you guys this: where's your heads at? Who do you want to be the next offensive coordinator for the New York Jets? If I had to call it right now, I go Mark Brunell. But if it's not going to be Mark Brunell, not going to be Thomas Brown, how about who Jordan Schultz was talking about? A little Vikings quarterback coach named Josh McCown, who previously interviewed for the Jets head coaching job, is also being considered for a role on Glenn's staff. However, McCown is considered unlikely to leave Minnesota. But let's just say McCown has a change of mind, and he sees, Aaron Glenn going to New York. He's like, man, if I could go get on that coaching staff, be that offensive mind, be that full-time play caller, and really have that side of the football all to myself, I think the Jets should really consider it. Considering if he, it is likely that he does stay in Minnesota, but let's just say he doesn't, I think he would be number one for me in terms of the offensive coordinator for the New York Jets. This guy has an incredible mind, a very smart football mind, and plus I like the idea of having a former quarterback very similar to Mark Brunell, being that in that QB's ears, because they have seen it. They know the ups and downs of the National Football League, and McCown would kind of be able to help them kind of shake all of that out. And actually this past season, we saw Sam Darnold have a resurgence. I'm sure Jets fans love seeing that this past season. Obviously joking there, but he was Darnold's right-hand man. Like if you watched any Vikings game from this past year, when Darnold's on the sideline, it's not Kevin O'Connell, it's not their offensive coordinator Wes Phillips talking to him. It's actually Josh McCown in Darnold's ear. Any problem that Darnold had throughout the week or on game day, Josh McCown would be his right-hand man. So clearly he's familiar with quarterbacks. He is quarterback's best friend, and if he would become available for OC, I think the Jets should take it and run. But we also got some more rumors on Aaron Glenn and Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Glenn reportedly would want Aaron Rodgers back as the quarterback next season. And I do want to walk back a take here that I had early on this offseason, if you guys have been watching the show for the past couple of weeks, where I was saying that I really think that Aaron Rodgers needs to go. I don't think there's no reason to bring him back, but then I start looking at the other options. I start seeing, around the league. I think it would be a good idea to bring Aaron Rodgers back. But I will say this. If you just think about, Rodgers' season last season, the advanced numbers are not in favor of him. Like, he had 28 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. And if you just look at that, you're like, oh, Rodgers had a good year. But the advanced stats are not in his favor. Total EPA, 31st in the league. EPA per play, 27th. Catchable ball percentage was 27th as well. Adjusted completion percentage, 27th. And then yards per attempt. We know Rodgers over the last couple of years, it almost seems like he cares too much about the touchdown to interception ratio, where he's not as willing to push the ball down the field. But the advanced stats aren't in favor of him. But I will say, listen, you won't find a better option out there to replace Rodgers. I understand that Rodgers was not great for the New York Jets this past season, and he's been disappointing in the 2 years. But let's just say Aaron Glenn gets that defense playing at a top 7 level, and then you bring in like a Brunell or a Josh McCown to be the offensive coordinator with all the weapons the Jets have on the outside. If you could have a top 7 defense and just say, hey, Rodgers, if you get us to 20, 21 points every single game, we'll have a good chance to go 9-8, possibly 10-7 next season. So I am going to stand by this. And, it would be different if the Jets, let's just say, had the 3rd pick, whatever it may be. But I think right now, the best case scenario for the Jets, you bring Rodgers back, he finishes out that contract, and then next year down the line, you go find that young rookie quarterback that could potentially be the franchise guy. But I do want to say thank you guys so much for watching today's edition of the Jets Report. If you guys made it to the end, give me a Go Jets down below in the comment section. This will be a real one roll call. So let me hear your guys' support down below. And also, if you guys want to give me a follow on Twitter, that's a handle right there, at Pat Sieps. Give me a follow over there. I'll give you guys a follow right back. We'll see you guys next time. As always, go Jets.